Hi guys, and welcome back to another update video with our good friend Ahowl here for RTR Imperium Surrectum. Welcome back, Ahowl.
Good to be back, man. Got a whole bunch of stuff to get through today and very excited to do so.
Yes, exactly. And as you can see, guys, there are lots of things, lots of little sneak peek previews for you on here today. You've probably already got your magnifying glasses out to see what you can see on all of this, but we are going to go through a lot because there has been a lot of work done, hasn't there? So yeah, should we start going through the officers first?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So as you can see, guys, we have a lot of officer renders. These are all the Greek officers. How many factions is it for again, Ahal?
Oh, I want to say over 50.
50 factions with unique officers.
Yeah, including the Thracians and the Illyrians. So what we're going to see here is we're going to just see some Blender renders of just some of the raw work that was done before added in game. So you can think El Santo Padre. This is Tone's work. These last two have been Tone's work. Um, and then that's also Tone's work. This is Macedonian. He sent some Macedonian and Pontic um, generals work over. So there's those.
Yeah, they look amazing, don't they? Like the detail, as usual. You know, you know how I love to obsess about the small details on these. And yeah, just like that panel there of the, I believe that will be the goddess Athena, right? Oh, well, yeah, it's some sort of god, probably, or goddess. So, yeah, but yeah, those small details are just amazing, and I mean these like bronze or iron would you call them a curious? I can't say that word. I think they're my favorite. I absolutely love the look of those. But as you can see,
these have been these screenshots are done by El Santo Padre. He's such a talented modder, and 3D modeler. He's been around the modding scene for a long time. He's been a great help for us, especially when it comes to the just the 3D and 2D side. So yeah, these officers are going to be looking amazing. So the next screens that you see, there's your Pontus General that Tone has sent.
Yeah.
And then the next screens you see after these, well, no, not this one. The next one.
Yeah, is that a Thracian one?
No, it's just a Greek one.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking at me.
It might even be Spartan.
The Spartans like to have eyes in the back of their head.
Yeah, exactly. But the next one that you had shown, that's Pontus.
That is awesome. That looks really cool.
That's like Mr. Davies right there.
Nice.
So now so these are Thracian officers right here.
There we go.
And just a ton of Greeks. There's just so many Greek factions. And these are pretty much representing every single faction leader.
Yeah.
So general, family member, general.
Yeah, they look awesome. And sorry, I'm not zoomed in, guys, but I will probably zoom in on the edit as well, so you get to see these up a little bit closer. But yeah, and I'm assuming the top left on this one, that's a Macedonian, is that? Seleucid, maybe?
No, I don't think that's Macedon.
Seleucid?
I have no idea, but I do know the Seleucids are done. The one that's a dead giveaway at the bottom is Issa.
Oh yeah, nice. But yeah, these guys just look awesome. We've got the capage, so we know they're elite. We've got the plumage for many of them, so we know they're elite. If you've been a long time viewer, guys, of all my unit videos, then you will know what I'm referencing there.
You got Megalopolis at the bottom here.
What's the bottom right? What is that? That is really cool.
I'm not sure. Honestly, like a lot of these are very unique to each faction, so it's really hard to keep up with who's who.
Yeah. But I think it's just to add a little bit of extra spice to all the battlefields, and get rid of the flat-faced goons, as I would call them, that walk alongside the amazingly rendered, beautiful units that look dead in the eyes.
There's the Ptolemies. There might be the Seleucids right next to them.
Nice with the leopard skin. Very cool indeed.
And then that spiral shield is going to be Sparta with, you can see the Spartan beard.
Hmm. Oh
The
yeah,
guy next,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, that's Sparta.
So what I
Can't
would,
tell you what the other one is.
yeah, what I would say, guys, is comment down below which of these ones you find the best, which one you prefer out of all of these, and you can just see the amount of love and care that has gone into them, as with all of the units. But I think it's more dramatic when you when you see an elite unit that is in all of its gaudy glory and pomposity of the ancient world, which I think is just awesome. Like I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Well, there's Macedon. Very nice.
Yeah, so
Um,
there's the standard bearers. We have a trumpeter there. You can see him holding his little trumpet. Um, and just your officers, and then there's gonna be the flutist here soon.
oh, there he is on the bottom right, the guy with the flute.
No, he's a trumpet, but
Oh, trumpet. Sorry, yeah,
the next guy you're gonna see there, yeah, you get the flutists. So just in their rank and file, marching along, and you see like the main captain, the standard bearers. So yeah, I mean we're definitely replacing all those old RS2 officers that have been in there for way too long.
yeah. And I think what we will do at some point, guys, is I will do a video on all of the officers at some point, so you get to see them in their full glory in game, so you're not squinting and using your magnifying glasses. I'm sure many of you have got them on your desk right beside you right now, just for this
That is,
opportunity.
and there's the Illyrian, the Southern Illyrian general.
Nice.
So I think a Northern Illyrian general is still being worked on.
Yeah, cool. Looks really good.
And there's
Um,
the Thracians again.
yeah,
So full circle, but the Thracians look pretty cool.
yeah, definitely. I mean, the bottom right guy is just sat like an absolute Chad. Look at him. But very nice. So I think that is all of them, apart from. Oh no, we're still going. We've
Oh
still got
no,
more.
no, no, you're back to where you started.
Oh right, okay, there we go.
Yep.
Very, very nice indeed. Absolutely glorious. And like I say, it's to add that spice to the battlefield. All of the little details in this mod are just pretty incredible, in my opinion. These didn't need to be done. You could have had a single generic general, couldn't you, for all of the Greeks and all of the Thracians and all of the Illyrians. They didn't need to be differentiated, but yeah, I think it looks pretty awesome indeed. Should we move on to the next very special four
Oh
little
yeah.
pictures then?
Yep. So, as you guys know, we're definitely going down the route of there's going to be a four Roman Senate style campaign, as well as your typical unified Rome campaign. And so, I know I'm personally a fan of the original four factions, and so we've been working on it. And obviously, we could just give them kind of like what Red was just saying with the officers. We could just kind of give the Romans one symbol and just change the colors. But we decided to go further. I mean, we have the Julii, the Brutii, and the Scipii in vanilla with the Senate, but we decided to get a little bit more historically accurate with the families. So the Senate's the Senate, which you're seeing here. This is the symbol here is actually Roma personified.
Mm,
So the goddess Roma. So what a better symbol for the Senate than the goddess of Rome.
yeah,
And then our families are different names. So you guys need to get used to the different names. Us on the dev team, the beta testers, were too used to Julii, Scipii, Brutii, and if you're gonna be playing RAS, you need to get used to Claudii, Cornelii, and Aemilii. So right here is the Aemilii, and it's the same role as the Brutii. They're Eastern Italy. They're gonna expand into the East. Their main foes are gonna be the Illyrians and the Thracian. I mean the Greeks, the Macedonians, but they are the Aemilii. The famous character here is Marcus Aemilius Paulus, who pretty much was the guy who brought an end to the Greek world, the free Greek world, in about 146 BC with the sack of Corinth. Um, he is kind of like the leading family member recognition name, but he represented the Aemilii, who were heavily involved in the East in their family history.
nice.
Next, here we have the Claudii with the Roman eagle. The Claudii, for those who know their history well, is you had the Claudian Empire, but Julius Claudius Caesar, um, he is the main character when it comes to the Claudii. He is responsible for conquering Gaul. He was a populist, became dictator, and then was assassinated. But in his lineage, you got a line of emperor too. So the Julii are really need to be called the Claudii. But hey, I think Hollywood had its say when it came to Rome Total War. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring those original mechanics, but kind of de-Hollywood the names of the families. But it's going to be the same role. This faction will be expanding north. They'll be fighting Gauls and eventually Britons, Germans, maybe Iberians. Um, and so it's going to be your more northern Italy campaign.
Well, guys, we just had to make a little cut to see whether the audio was going okay. But before the cut, I was going to say that, Caesar just is the main character. I don't think he's just the main character of the Claudii, but he's just the main character in general. But yeah, very cool. I love this faction icon. Very nice indeed. But we're going to move on to what is in vanilla my favorite faction. And again, I love this faction icon. So do you want to speak about these guys?
Yeah, so these are not the Scipii, and also if the audio is worse or sounds different, it's just because for whatever reason we can hear me better on my phone. So no cutting out, but different audio. But yeah, this is not the Scipii. They were wrongly named again in vanilla. They should have been called the Cornelii, because Cornelius Scipio is the head of that family. So just the way the genus and the family names were done in vanilla were just wrong. So same role as the Scipii, same colors, same wolf icon, kind of route that we're taking here. So we're trying to stick to the vanilla roots, but just making it more historically accurate. The Cornelii will, of course, be in Sicily. They will be fighting Carthage, eventually the Numidians and the Iberians. And so definitely going to be a fan favorite, I think. I really do think, I mean, look, I always think it's always between the Claudii and the Cornelii. We'll see how many Aemilii fans we get out there, but it seems like we're gonna have the blues and the reds are probably gonna be the
we
most popular.
we don't want to poke that hornet's nest again, mate. I'm not gonna lie. Not after last time when I said, "Oh, I made a joke about the Brutii being terrible," and then I got loads of comments from people saying that they love the Brutii, and literally I said that and still got loads of comments on the same video saying people saying I love the Brutii. We get it, guys. The Brutii have fans. We get that the Brutii have fans.
But do you love the Aemilii? That's
exactly.
The question.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? To be all honest, like I can understand why people would want to play the Aemilii because you'll be taking the remastered Romans against the remastered Macedonians, Epirotes, Illyrians, and Greeks. So it's going to be like a full-on remastered Roman conquest. Whereas, depending on how the dev team does and everything, we don't know exactly when Carthaginians and Iberians and Celts are going to be remastered. We just know it's going to be Romans and Italics. So that's kind of just where we're at right now. So I totally get it if people do Aemilii just so they can go conquer remastered Greeks with remastered Romans.
Yeah, and like just to clarify once again, guys, I make jokes about the Brutii because they're not my favorite faction, but I'm just taking the mick. It's a joke.
It's just a joke.
I don't seriously hate them.
Everybody laugh at the Brutii.
Yeah, including me. Right. Shall we move on to the resources then?
Absolutely. This has been a lot of work that's been going on for the past months.
Yeah. So as you can see, we've got different tiers of resources, which obviously ties into their value as a trade resource in general. And as you can see, there are loads of resources now. How many are in vanilla, Ahowl? Like
26, I believe.
26, and do you know how many there are now? I mean, we could count them, but there's a lot more than 26 anyway.
I would count. I mean, if you count the 1, 2, 3, 40, about 40. I'd say 40 to 41.
Yeah. So as you can see, you've got your sort of lower tier resources here, guys. The stuff that's in higher supply and less valuable, like your grain, your coal, your fish, your sheep, your stone, all that sort of thing. And then, of course, we've got all the trade buildings now associated with these resources, which is really cool, which I did show last time. So if you haven't seen last time, do check that out. We did show a couple of different trade buildings with that as well. So if we move up to the tier 3, where you can see you've got completely different ones here, your grapes for wine, your iron for swords and copper, amber, salt, papyrus, dyes, fruits, horses, of course, a very important resource in the ancient world, especially in the east. So yeah, very, very cool. I really, really like that. And then, of course, we've got the higher tier resources, which yeah, I'm not going to say that one. Demonetization. So we've got marble, silk, tin, elephants. So the big British boys are going to have a bit of cash probably at the start. The Brigantes with their tin mines. Gold, silver, purple dye, which of course was a very, very powerful resource. Wars fought over purple dye, incense, spices, and gemstones. So yeah, very, very nice to see a lot of added resources in here. Do you want to say anything about them, Ahowl, as well?
Well, I mean, if you go from these screens to the next screens where they're on the map, just pay attention to just the detail. I mean, now understand, everybody listening, that there has been a ton of work that's gone into this. To quote our really good team member Taran Sordak, I mean, our research team has been methodical, they've been hardworking, and they got this all done within 3 weeks. Like, it was a group led by the historians, but what we did is we recruited a couple beta testers who maybe are in school or they enjoy history or they have time, and these guys joined. And with the leadership of the historians, combined with the organization of Taran and Biggest, who's our primary coder in this regard, they were able to get all of this researched and placed on the map within a 3-week period. Now, it's not over yet. As you can see, there's a ton of resources on the map. There's going to be a period of culling. There's going to be a period of kind of trimming the fat, making sure that we're not overdoing it. We learned our lesson from, doing too many cities and whatnot. So we're going to probably go through that. But this team did an amazing job. The amount of organization and communication it took was great. It was something that for years, when talking about redoing the economy and redoing trade resources, we understood how much of a task it would be. So I really just want to give them a big shout out for all the work that they did.
Yeah.
Just from the lead people of Masalos, Biggest, and Taran, to all the helpers that were involved. And it's too many people to list because it was a really big team of people doing it. But man, they really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is going to be like resources in vanilla. Like, it's not that important because there's so little regions. But I think this is going to really, really make like a much bigger impact than you think when you're playing the game, guys. Because now you can strategically go for regions that have, expensive resources, that have a lot of resources. Because remember, guys, not all resources are born equally. And certain regions might have 3 of a resource. It's just, in Rome Total War, it's like 1, 2, 3. I don't think I've ever seen an area with 4 resources outside a mod. So it could be 3 horses in this region, and that's going to give you way more money than a region with 1 horse. So yeah, I think it's really going to add a bit more spice to the campaign, and also, of course, trade is going to be very, very important, as it was across the whole of the ancient world. Trade well, I mean, it still is today, obviously, but yeah, across the ancient world, these trade resources were incredibly important. I love on this one that you can see the Amber Road there very clearly, from Illyria going up through, I don't know that faction's name, through then the Boy, and then up to the Lugii. So yeah, I think this is going to add a lot more into the game than what you think, because at the moment, guys, as well, there are a lot of areas, a lot of settlements that don't have any resources in them at all. So the trade value is just literally derived off the population. So this is going to, add a completely different dynamic, I think, to the economy management, which is something that I absolutely love. So yeah, very, very excited for this when it gets added into the game. So shall we move on to a few of these spicy little screenshots as well?
Yeah, so if you want to start with the render.
So yeah, there we
So
go.
we have been making a lot of the UI buildings, like the building cards, using Blender, and just kind of like using the Rome Total War style buildings, kind of edited to whatever resource it is. And then the next some of the next screens are just going to show how they then look. Oh, that's super small, so
Yeah,
you'll have to zoom that in when editing. But
let's see if this
um,
will work. Where's Zoom? I never use Zoom. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, so I mean, just the detail. I mean, being able to take it from Blender into a TGA card file like that, but it'll look so beautiful in the game. There you can see the level 3 version is there. So yeah, I mean, just the attention to detail that each person on the team gives is just amazing. And the only con with doing that is the fact that it just takes a lot of time, and that's why it's just going to be a long time before we have a proper release, guys. And I hope you guys are okay with that, and I hope you're okay with the final result, because we want it to feel like a finished product, not a mess.
Yeah,
Quality is better than quantity, or I guess in our case, quality is better than speed. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, there's horse trader, there's an orchard. I mean, there's going to be a special building. There's a tanner right there.
yeah,
So there's going to be a special building for each resource. And we just want the depth. We want to capture the Rome Total War feel, but add the historical depth that the ancient world had at that time.
yeah, definitely. And like I say, I am very excited as a campaign management stan. This is extremely exciting news for me. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. And then are we moving on to the next ones then as
Yeah,
well?
so these are kind of like just the building names. And then I don't know if you're going to be able to zoom in on these, but just kind of the descriptions that we're doing. Big thanks to Lusitanio, and with the UI before, thanks to Exy, and I don't even know how to pronounce the other guy's name, but he knows. Well, who the guys on the dev team know who I'm talking about. Um, I think his name is Jacob or Jakob, but anyways, good. He's done a lot of this, but Lusitanio for these descriptions. I mean, being able to kind of play the game, and then everybody, when we play the game, we kind of just get lost into the granular details. Like we kind of stop managing our empire and we just start kind of like reading things and
Yeah.
getting lost and just being nerdy, and just being able to read these little building details is going to be so cool. um, so each one starts with like a quote, and it's just cool how Lusitano has been able to come up with these descriptions for
Yeah.
these buildings just to add life. I mean, how many mods have we seen that basically it's just, you know,
Yeah, and I
add
think
description or description to come, or it's just a really poorly written one,
yeah.
or it just kind of tells you exactly what it does. Like, we'll probably add like a gameplay bit where it's like, this building is good with this or whatever. But for now, we just want to make sure that and then like some of these UI images that we've been able to get, um, also just makes them better.
Yeah, and I love how they managed to capture the sort of I don't know, the spirit of the original Rome as well. Because if you ever read any of the descriptions of stuff in the original Rome, guys, a lot of it is very jokey and not like hugely, it's serious. It tells you a bit of history, but there's always some jokes in there. Like I always remember that a character with zero influence, a Roman character, has the description of something like, I think it's like even a stuffed olive has more influence than this man because a stuffed olive, because an olive could be choked on and a great man die from it or something like that. So something along those lines. I didn't quote it very well, but I always remember the joke of that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I love how some of these, they've got some pretty funny little jokes in there and stuff for you guys to get your teeth into when you get into the mod. And as you can see, all of these different ones, very cool indeed. Snail collectors. Oh right, okay, that's the purple dye. Very nice.
Look at the quote.
Um, no need to kill the poor creature, just prod it until it gives up the guts. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's been very good, but very good, very creative by Lusitano. Gotta give him a big credit. I mean, Lusitano's known for our traits, but he's admittedly said that the bulk work of the traits is finished, and so he's had time to kind of sink his creativity into other areas. And as we see here, here's something else Lusitano is working on, and that's we are trying our best to add the loyalty feature from Barbarian Invasion. We want loyalty to play a part with your characters. We want it to be something where your character may revolt.
yeah,
And we're trying to just we're it's still a work in progress. There's a lot of testing that needs to be done, but we just wanted to show a couple of these screens showing that we're messing with it, we're working with it, and it's a feature that wasn't really worked on with a lot of mods before, so it's kind of new, and we want it to be in part of it. We want the core features of Rome Total War, Barbarian Invasion, and Alexander. We want to incorporate all these built-in features and not eliminate them.
yeah. And also, I think the thing with this is, guys, it's not going to be like people are rebelling left, right, and center. It's not like you're going to have 100 rebellions a turn. It's just to add extra spice, extra depth to the gameplay. If you think you're safe, there might be a crazy Halcyonius somewhere that goes crazy and decides that he is actually the king of Macedon. So it's just to add a little bit of extra spice, a little bit of extra challenge as well, and I think that's always very, very good. It's
And
still
and
being.
and,
Sorry,
and
go on.
to say that just to say like there's limits to the game right now, so
Hmm.
it's not like we can add a shadow faction for every single faction. That would be the dream, that every faction has its own shadow faction. Maybe one day, if there's ever like a patch made or something like that, it's something that we'll probably revisit. We did try visiting it before, but when we ran into some limitations with the game, it's just too it's too dicey. So right now, we're really just trying to get everything to revolt to the rebels and see if that works.
Yeah, very nice, and I think that's going to be very, very interesting as well. And like we say, it's still being worked on as well, guys. As is all of this work. It's not, you know, this is all work that is still being worked on as we speak. So if you see something and you're like, "Oh no, that's terrible," I hate the orchards, then there's a chance that maybe it's a different orchard when you get to actually play it, but we'll see.
Yep.
Um, right then, so on to this one then.
So this one is basically a screen, and you got to give a big shout out to Biggest. I don't say his full name. I don't know if it's gonna get censored, but
Ah, it's alright.
biggest biggest Dickus. If it gets censored, so what? But he gets his name from the Monty Python movie. But biggest Dickus is an amazing coder and idea guy that we have. He is a hard worker, and he just really loves the hey, what more can we do aspect. I mean, I want to say that by the time you guys get your hands on this to play, the main architect of how the game will play mechanically is going to be Biggest Dickus. And he is just really good at making things work. and very good at wanting feedback and then adjusting. So, from the recruitment system to faction mechanics to, different effects, he's basically utilized the question mark button at the top left of your screen. You can click on that button, and there's going to be entire guides written explaining how different mechanics work. So, user friendly, very nice for the new player, very nice for actually every single player. Honestly, like Red, and your first Let's Play when this comes out, I can see you utilizing this a lot.
Yeah.
So between these and some other strings that we've put into, when I say strings, I mean like text strings that we've put into buildings and units and whatnot, a player should be able to figure out how to play RIS with just a little bit of reading and research.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, oh, you just got to play and figure it out. I remember certain mods like Europa Barbarorum and like RS2 and others, it's like kind of like overwhelming because it's like there's just so many new things and I don't know how to play. With RAS, we understand that, and we understand there's going to be a whole load of new players coming in with this release just because Romans, and we want people to understand what's going on, why this is happening, what this means. And so Biggest really took it upon himself to kind of make these pop-ups come up, and you can access these at any time. So it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be very helpful, especially if you forget something. If you forget, 20 turns down the line, you're like, I can't remember what the military reforms are. You just go on this. It tells you, siege and blockade effects, special resource levels, growth and economy system, recruitment system. So anything you forget should be in there as a little guide, which I think is very, very useful indeed. So should we move on to this last one then, Ahowl? Very special one.
Oh yeah. So this is the little surprise that I wanted to have for
A little
everybody.
surprise, yeah.
Yes. What you're looking at here, everybody, is the RAS, the original Roma Surrectum, Roma. Wow, gosh, I just call it Roma Surrectum. Wow, how dare I? The original RAS map, guys. The original one
Oh, God.
made from 2022. This was before we determined that we could enlarge it by 4 times the area. And what happened to this map is it lay dormant for the past 2.5 years. And, look, we've heard your cries, we've heard your complaints, we've heard your reservations. We understand that the big, huge map with all the cities and all the factions isn't for everybody. It really isn't. The Total War community is a very interesting community, to say the least, when it comes to player preference. And so I took it upon myself over the last couple months to revamp the old map, and I've called it RAS Classic. What this is the map is pretty much a mini map to what our huge map is. It is the same size and area as what the RS2 map was or
Yeah.
the EB2 map is. So it's going to feel very familiar, or for many of you, nostalgic. And it's going to bring back that old school mod feel. With that being said, I had to be consistent with that when it came to regions and factions. So I wanted to bring back an old school feel with more. And
Yeah.
so obviously, as you know, Red, you were involved in these discussions a lot. There was a lot of back and forth with how many regions should there be, how many factions should there be. Ultimately, and this isn't even the finished version, there's still some tweaks and edits, and nothing is even, you can't even play on it right now. It's just literally single general bodyguards in every settlement. But what it is about 350 regions and probably about 100 factions, or just under 100 factions. Um, with, you can expect probably the Egyptian revolt and stuff, so probably a little bit over 100 factions when it's all said and
Yeah.
done. But the main goal was to only add the most important and most unique factions to the map. So a lot of all the main players that you would expect in this time frame are in, and then you have some very interesting factions that have been added to represent the different cultures. And when I say that, different unit rosters, the goal was to not have the same unit roster on two different factions like we have in the big map. We have a lot of factions very similar to each other. The only differences being where they start on the map, or maybe one unit or two. With this, I wanted to eliminate redundancy. So the map itself helps me eliminate redundant areas. So I don't have to pack Greece. I don't have to pack Anatolia or Egypt or the
Yeah.
Levant with a ton of cities that are pretty much siege fest. So it eliminates siege fest. And it forces me to really think about what region should be in and what faction should be in. So you have a good balance. You have your Roman families again, but you have the main boys. So Syracuse is in, but the Mamertines or Acragus, they're not in. Carthage is in, and you have both Numidias because they start so far apart. And then you have, the Gaetulians, you have the Garamantis, you have the Maori, all very three distinct nations from each other. In Iberia and Gaul, the tribal areas, those were so hard to figure out. But just with the help of Red, and you can kind of take your points and give them here, I really wanted to focus on balance. And that meant not slamming it with a ton of factions where it's just faction on top of faction on top of a faction everywhere, but also not slamming it to where you have a sea or cluster of rebels, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think if you look at the way the original mods, the original vanilla was made for both Rome and Medieval 2, the maps are not full of factions. Like, okay, there are some mods that implemented like the generic Gaul faction, but they were like more passive. But the idea with the rebels, guys, before people start commenting down below, why is it not full of factions, is that the rebels provide both a direction for the AI, because AIs tend to prefer attacking rebel settlements, a direction for the player, because generally whenever you start vanilla, imagine, say you're playing the Julii, what do you take first? You take Segesta first. It's your gateway into fighting the Gauls. So it's to provide those directions for the player and the AI. It's also to provide buffer states if there are strong rebel factions. Because remember, not every single one of these rebel settlements is going to be like a 5-unit garrison or a 10-unit garrison. They're going to be different based on what they were historically, how important they were, and also, of course, the gameplay of the area as well. So it provides, buffers between factions, it provides that guidance of where to go, and it provides pacing as well. Because if you just start with all factions, there will be no pacing. It will just be it'll be a constant rush the whole time to try and take out as many factions as possible constantly.
It would be carnage.
Yeah.
Absolute carnage. And like, look, there's a voice out there that people are like, oh, that'd be so cool. But nobody's gonna do that. Like, I just don't think. I mean, it needs to be like a sub mod. Like, there's a couple mods out there, guys. I think Terminator just did it. It's on Tetrarchy 311 AD. Go play that mod. There's literally not a rebel province. Like, there's mods for that. Maybe RAS in the future, maybe we make like a battle royale type of mod where like the amount of regions and the amount of factions are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Or maybe we make like an Rome 2 version of Roma Surrectum. Sure. But you know what? Who's got the time for that right now? Seriously, like, I
And
mean,
I think the thing with the big map, why there's less rebel settlements, obviously proportionally on the big map, is because it's already big. There's already a lot of settlements, so you don't need rebel settlements to provide buffers and pacing, because you already, say you play as the Antigonids on the big map, you have what, 25, 30, 40 settlements. I don't know how many exactly, but there's already big broad fronts that already provide pacing. On a small, compact map like this, you need rebels to provide that pacing, in my opinion, anyway. I'm not a game.
Absolutely.
I'm not a game developer or designer, but like from a gameplay perspective of playing mods like this, like that's my opinion on it. So I think it's very well balanced at the minute. Obviously, there's still work to be done on it. Tweaks are going to be made, but for all of you guys that don't want to play on the huge map, I hope this is very, very exciting for you and will bring you back into the very immersive world of RAS. Because remember, all of these factions on there that have already been remastered are going to have their units. There's going to be AOR on there as well. You know, all of the buildings and everything are going to be from the main mod. So it's just like the RAS experience, but more compact and more vanilla style in terms of the map and the factions. So I think, yeah, going to be very, very cool indeed. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, and guys, just know, I mean, we want to hit as many areas of the public realm as possible. We don't want to be a one-trick pony mod. We don't want to be the super historically accurate, realistic experience where you feel like you're there and everything is to the all I's are dotted, all T's are crossed, and it just must be extreme accuracy. Like there's definitely a crowd for that. But there's also a crowd of like, hey, I get 1 hour a day to just fly by a few turns and do a couple battles, and then I gotta go. Like I got a family to raise. I've got a job. I got a career. I just want to sit down and play RAS and not stare at a loading screen or stare at the intern screen as it whizzes by and I'm just looking at my watch, ready to like get up and like, well, I got one turn in today. So we want to be able to provide you the grandeur and the beauty of what RAS can bring without um, draining your life.
Yeah, cool. I think it's going to be very, very, very good for all of you that either don't have the hardware to run the big map or don't want to play on such a big map. Like, I think this is going to be really, really exciting. And I, for one, am looking forward to a world conquest because I can't do a world conquest on the big map. It's not something that would interest me, but I could do a world conquest on this very, very happily indeed. So yeah, really cool. Was there anything else we wanted to go over then, Ahal?
Um, no, not as far as like what the team's been working on.
Brilliant. And like I say, guys, we will do obviously some more in-depth videos on everything we've talked about in the future as we get closer to release. When that is, though, we have no idea. We can't say that at the moment. So, of course, all of this work is going on, and we just wanted to give you a nice update again to show that, remember the last time we did this, like we were pretty much at the sort of ideation and the start of this stage of showing you these sorts of buildings and everything like that, and look how far it's come with the resources and everything now. And we had a few officers to show you, but yeah, now they're all done. So very, very nice indeed. Progress is definitely being made. Well then, I think that's it. So thank you once again, Ahal, for joining me. Very, very nice to have you here. Absolute pleasure once again. And thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and be looking, guys, for a video soon. There's other things that are going to be happening, and the team is working super hard. But just due to time constraints and just a lot of information and stuff, we'll probably reorganize and do one last video for you guys in the next couple weeks with some updates. And that might be your March video because your February video was very late, and that's our fault. Sorry, we were really working overtime to get things finished so we could show it off. And we're kind of in that weird, murky gray zone now where we have a lot of information to show. But so you might be expecting another one coming within the next couple weeks. And there's going to be some big, big news to come ahead. But we will wait for that video to happen then. For now, just enjoy this one. And we are so excited for you guys and the future of RAS. We really hope you can enjoy it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, guys. Make sure you do like and subscribe for more of these videos. And thank you very much for joining us once again. And we'll see you all again on the next video.